Oh dear. The elements that go in to make these up can only be found at the centre of the sun, apparently. Put the pre-combustion chambers back in their holes, and I'm going to put this head back on the engine. It's a lot stronger than just a bit of pipe stuck in there. Where are we? Day 8?
We're day 8, yep.
We're day 8 on our free-range refit here in Townsville, and we are well on track for it to be twice as long and 30% more expensive, which is, everyone knows that that's just a standard refit. We were going to just take the anti-foul off and just tune up the injectors. What have we done instead?
Well, sounding the paint, the anti-foul revealed a whole lot of osmosis blisters. So I was on the grind for a day clearing those out.
Oh, it was even more, I think, because I got in there as well.
We kept finding some. Troy got in there too. And we also found some in the paint above the waterline of the hull.
Yep.
So that's led to us deciding to also paint. We were only going to paint the anti-foul, but now we're going to paint the whole hull.
Yep, we'll just do the whole hull. We're still not going to do the deck because it's still, you know what, it doesn't look great, but it's still serviceable, and we're not that rich yet. So it's still, we're looking a little bit scabby, but you know, we'll get there. For my part, the engine, I noticed a bit of white smoke, and I knew that we would be having a dribbling injector. The oil was still great, all right, so I knew that we weren't getting seawater past the head. One of the injectors just plain would not come out. Had some help from a fella here, Greg, who's a diesel fitter, and usually sometimes all you need is just someone just saying, yeah, you're doing the right thing, and just giving you encouragement to keep going, which is because sometimes you doubt yourself. We got that out, and then in doing so the pre-combustion chambers had to come out as well, which meant in the end that I had to take the head off. Alright, so the water that was supposed to go down the cockpit drains, I found that was coming down into my engine space, and worse, it was coming into a locker. So I've come down here, I've cut away the hose to try and find out the problem. Shall we see what the problem was? Oh dear. Alright, so I understand the principle, alright. You can, when you're making things out of glass, it doesn't really matter that much what you use as a mould. And this would have been fine, but look, that whole thing, they only went halfway. There was poor adhesion, and it just hasn't worked, basically. So what we can do, we can rough up that existing glass, cut away some of that stuff that looks really, really scabby. I can put that back in place, but I need to give good wraps of glass around that with plenty of resin, and then that hose goes onto fiberglass that's been wrapped around this, and this will act as a form. I'm going to leave it in there. We'll lose a little bit of diameter, but my cockpit clears pretty quickly. It's only a little one. But so instead of just glassing down halfway and leaving the hose attached to this thing, all right, we'll glass all the way down it, and we'll give it a few wraps so it'll be nice and strong. So what we'll have is actually a fiberglass tube, and then this thing will just be a formwork that's just left in place, as opposed to this being just resined into a hole, all right, and a tube hose clamped to a bit of PVC. This PVC, I mean, it's pretty slippery stuff, so the resin, whatever they've used, it hasn't adhered. So the problem actually was the water was creeping down the outside, okay, running down the side of the pipe and not going down the hose. It wasn't going down the middle. Most of it was, you know, but enough of it was going down there to sort of just rust a few tools and just wreck some of our precious stuff. So we'll go around fixing that. The hull's looking thoroughly disreputable at the moment. And where are we at with the engine? We've pulled the head off, all right. Managed to get the injectors out. We had a look in one of those, and the spring is pretty much collapsed. So I've had to send them off, the injectors, I've had to send them up to Cairns to be reconditioned because there's no springs anywhere in Australia. But my old friends at KG Mechanical up in Cairns, they haven't paid me to mention them, right? But they've come to the party and they said they can definitely recondition it. It's going to cost about $500 to get those injectors back up and firing normally. One of the injectors was, you know, like pumping fuel at the correct pressure, and the other one was cracking open at about 40 bar, like about a third of what it should be. So that's why the engine wasn't developing that much power and it was blowing white smoke. But so I've got the head off, and you know, like this engine looks pretty bad from the outside. Like the paint is just a disaster. You know, it's coming off with my fingernail. But if we look under the rocker cover, there's no sludge. It's nice and clean. I haven't cleaned that up, so that's really great to see. All around the valve springs is the only dirt that's on there has just been my activity. So seeing that everything is nice and clean, no deposits, no sludge, makes me really confident. And on the underside, all of this looks wonderful. Okay, there's no encroachment of water anywhere around there. This has come up beautifully. It's nice and flat. Really good. I can't see any real problems with the valves, despite, you know, like that last injector just generally dribbling fuel in there. So despite its outward appearances, Marul's engine's actually pretty good. All right, how much fun have we been having lately? What's this invoice say? Now, you might look at these and you just go, oh, it's little parts, how much could they possibly be? But these, the elements that go in to make these up can only be found at the centre of the sun, apparently, because all of this, and when I say all of this, it's this. I can support it with one finger, just like Marul's tiller. $947. And if you do cruise Australia, things are expensive, but everything's genuine. When you start mucking around with combustion chambers, you're not going to find parts down at your local Repco. So there we go, there's a bit of a scary invoice. $947 plus $500 to recondition the engine, the injectors. It's going to be about a $1,500 exercise. So there you go. So what we're going to do is put the pre-combustion chambers back in their holes, and I'm going to put this head back on the engine. We're going to torque it up, and when I say torque it up, not like just torque rubbish, but I'm going to put a tension wrench on it and torque it up to factory spec. How do I know factory spec? Because here on my iPad, I have a whole bunch of Yanmar literature, and I love Yanmar for that. They love engineers, they love the owners of their engines because they provide you with great manuals. I'm looking here, I've got a fantastic parts manual, and it shows exploded diagrams. When I say exploded, you know, they blow it up and show it, but all the parts are listed out, you know, as you disassemble it. So now as I'm putting it back, I can go through, I can go, what's this? I can say, it's got the part number there. All right, it's in this sequence of reassembly, and that helps a lot. So that's basically it. So this, again, we're not going to show you how to rebuild a Yanmar engine, but you know, it's a fairly straightforward affair. So if I look at my exploded diagram again, all I have to do is pop in the pre-combustion chamber, the front bits. Now these were the expensive ones. Each one of these. How much was each one of these, Pascal?
I think it was $220.
$212.54.
Yeah, but with GST it's more. With tax it's 200.
It's another $20, isn't it? So it's about
Yeah.
230 bucks.
Yeah.
That's $230. All right, those holes have to be really precision. This surface has to be really like a precision fit. This pin is made out of a gold titanium alloy, I'm sure. Yeah, there's half the bill, 2 of those. That's gone in there pretty nicely. There's another one. I can imagine these being sort of expensive. I mean, they've got to live in a pretty rough environment. You know, they're inside the combustion cylinder of a diesel engine. And even if it's just a little modest diesel engine like ours, it's still an explosive environment, I guess. So let's just have a look from the other side. Yeah, so it's looking pretty good. You can see when the fuel ignites, you're going to have a pattern as the flame front expands. It's going to have a very specific pattern, and that's to spread it out over the crown of the piston and give a fairly even force downwards. And that's what it is. It's not just a boop, as we discussed before. They call it a flame front. Okay, as you've got your atomized fuel, a wave of flame goes through it. If you've ever, you see those science fiction movies where a big atom bomb goes off and you just see that big whoosh, imagine that happening sort of really, really quickly in your engine. As storm clouds gather, we're about to pop this head back on. So what I'm going to do is, I've got a bit of gasket cement, and the Yanmar people recommend that you just coat both sides of the gasket before you put it on, and that's what I'm going to do. But I'm also going to put these gloves on, and that's not to keep my hands clean, but rather to keep my dirty hands off these clean surfaces. Brake cleaner, brake and part cleaner. Make sure she's nice and clean. Alright, so our gasket here, it's getting nice and tacky now, and that's what we want. We want it to form a skin. We've got about 2 hours to put all that back together if we want to. So this looks pretty clean. I'll just make sure the block's nice and clean. Rotate each cylinder to top dead center, make sure there's no dust and everything else like that. And then I'm going to take this new gasket, put that on. It's got a little thing on here that says top, make sure that that's facing up. And then we can put this head on there, and then we'll tape it all up in case it rains, and we'll just wait for our injectors.
These machine surfaces have to be totally clean to get a perfect seal from the head gasket, but we take a lot of care to avoid any scratches whatsoever on the faces. I rotated the engine to bring each piston to the top of its stroke to ensure nothing was left in the combustion space. The bore of the piston can also be cleaned, but don't disturb this 1/4 inch carbon ring at the top of the cylinder, as it acts to help with the seal of the piston. It's worth taking every care to avoid damage to the gasket or either metal face.
Okay, so we've got the head in place, and now it's time to tension it up. Now with all of these things, engine manufacturers will give you a set of values that you need to apply the torque to these nuts to make sure it's tight enough and to make sure it's evenly tight over the whole thing, and that keeps the 2 metal faces very flat. In the case of this particular little Yanmar, all of these bolts, they want them tensioned up to 75 Newton meters. That's about 55 foot-pound in the old language. So instead of just dialing up this wrench all the way straight to 75 and doing it, you like to do it up in increments. Sometimes, like divide it by 4,
75 divides nicely into 3. I said 70, it's 75. 75 divides nicely into 3 into 25, doesn't it? So this is a 160 Newton metre tension wrench, so it's not going to be that accurate down around the 20s, but that's all right. It'll be roughly the same, so we'll bring them up all roughly even, and that will stop the head from sort of being warped at all. And there's a very specific pattern as well. You don't just go willy-nilly. In the manual, they've told me to tighten in a particular pattern. Okay, I know what that is, so I'm going to go ahead and do it that way. So 25, then I'm going to adjust this to 50 Newton meters, 50 Newton meters, 75, and I'll do that pattern. And then once it's all 75, I'll go round the world, okay, and just do them all, and just make sure that this clicks at 75. If you've never seen a torque wrench before, they all change. Some of them have got it here, but this is a nice old-fashioned one. I really like it. It's a little beauty. So on the top here is the value that you want. It can't be any simpler than that. There's Newton meters, there's foot-pound. Yanmar is metric, so they want us to do it in Newton meters. So I'm aiming for a final one of 75, up here between 60 and 80. So I said I'm going to start off at 25, so you just slide that along till it hits it. Tighten that slider, and you push in this little pin. Torque wrenches, really satisfying tool to use. You just push in, there's some little indicator, okay? And when you get to the right torque, the right amount of tension, you hear that nice little click. Another one. Okay, so that's the first round of tightening. We'll bring it up to 50. And as we start getting a bit higher, this tension wrench will be a lot more accurate, which is great. And just to get me off screen and give Pascal a shot at this, do you want to come and tighten up some head bolts, Pascal?
Okay.
Show everyone how easy it is.
And then that one.
Yep, diagonally across.
Front one first, flywheel first, eh?
Yep, on this one. Did you push in?
Mhm.
What do you think? Are you ready for a change of career as a diesel fitter?
Got it.
Got it.
After this area had been sanded and prepared, Troy cleaned every surface that would be fiberglass with methylated spirits. Next, I cut thin strips of woven fiberglass to be resined to the side of the tube and to tie into the bottom of the deck. With the 4 tying strips glassed into place, next it was time to apply wraps of the same fiberglass to the tube. As soon as each wrap became uniformly transparent, we could apply the next one. We put on 3 wraps in all.
So this is all pretty well glassed here, and the resin's just extended a few millimeters into this stuff. Once this kicks properly and it's starting to get nice and solid and it's not going to pull away, I'll come back and I'll just cut that. Then I'll just smooth it off with a little bit of sandpaper, and then that shouldn't be too bad. So now that form, remember, that pipe will just stay in there and won't come out, and this will in fact just harden up into a fiberglass tube.
It emerges from the chrysalis.
From the sarcophagus, don't you mean?
Yeah.
This thing's going with our cockpit drain. Let's have a look. Here it is. Doesn't look anything fancy, does it? But it's a lot stronger than just a bit of pipe stuck in there. So this was the bit that was hanging down. Okay, so I just cut that off with a hacksaw. Alright, and it came off really, really easily. And this is what's left. So now, all that we need is some light sanding. So there we go. If you're trying to keep seawater out of your boat, it always pays to make it strong.
Good work, Dal.
I feel a lot better about that now.
I'm feeling good about it too.
Yeah, I don't know whether we've got rid of the leak. That might not have even been it, but it was definitely a contender for failure, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. It had failed.
Strong.
Yeah, it is strong. It's not pretty, but it's strong, that one. But it's going to be inside a hose, and the next hose will go all the way up and be hose clamped.
Are you going to get a new piece of hose?
I think we can find something in the budget for a new piece of hose.
Yeah, that looks pretty scabby, that whole piece of hose.
Yeah. This whole thing looks scabby.
Yeah.
But that hose is just
more scabby than the rest.
It's just part of the theme, isn't it?
Job. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Free Range Sailing. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like because it really helps to get our videos out to other like-minded people on YouTube. As always, if you'd like to keep track with where we are in real time, there are links to our Instagram and Facebook pages in the description of the video. Here you'll also find some links to books that we recommend as a great addition to any yachty's library. To receive a notification each time a new one of our videos is released, do make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell button on our channel page. If you'd like to become a patron or contribute to the cost of producing these videos via PayPal, then we have also provided links in the description of this video. See you next week!